This man's life is shattered by a tragic accident, but his mother's reaction is anything but ordinary. When her son is bedridden, she doesn't spoon-feed him. She just silently leaves a tray of food and walks away. And when he's confined to a wheelchair, she deliberately shoves him into the water, ignoring his desperate cries for help. How could a mother who once sacrificed everything and had such high hopes be so cruel to her own son? Is it hatred and disappointment, or is there a more painful truth hidden beneath the surface? Let's rewind to a few days earlier. This young man, with his pet pig in tow, was excitedly heading towards his girlfriend, planning to propose. But just as he was about to create a once-in-a-lifetime moment, the pig suddenly bolted, forcing them into a frantic chase to catch it. Finally, after a long pursuit, they cornered the culprit who had ruined the proposal. Not wanting to lose the moment again, he pulled out the ring, and without a second thought, she nodded yes. Though they weren't exactly spring chickens, they tied the knot surrounded by the cheers of their loved ones. Living together under one roof, their days were so sweet it could give you a cavity. Now pregnant, young Soon was over the moon, while Ha-sik counted down the seconds until he could meet their first child. Not knowing if it was a boy or a girl, he prepared 2 different gifts, ready for the day their little prince or princess would arrive. But peace never lasts long. One day, a group of strangers from a construction company showed up at their home. They brought a demolition order for the entire pig farm, a place that had been in his family for 3 generations. They claimed the Olympic torch relay was scheduled to pass through, and a pigsty couldn't be shown on international television because it would be an embarrassment to the nation. Hearing this, Ha-sik's face turned beet red. There was no way he would sign. That farm wasn't just his livelihood, it was the soul of his ancestors. Things got heated, words were exchanged, and soon they were shoving each other. As tensions mounted, Director Song stepped out of his car. Without saying a word, he turned and decked his own employees with a few punches, leaving them completely stunned. It was a clear message to Ha-sik and his wife. "I'm not someone you mess with." Then, he approached them, pulling out a fancy cigarette, bragging it was imported from the US. The smoke was so fragrant you'd want to whiff yourself. He offered one to Ha-sik. He tried to explain things calmly, but Ha-sik still adamantly refused to sign. Finally, he helped his wife back inside, leaving Director Song glaring at them with a look of pure fury. That night, while the entire village was sound asleep, a fire suddenly erupted from Ha-sik's pig farm. The couple was jolted awake by the frantic shouts of their neighbors. Rushing outside, they froze in horror, watching their farm engulfed in flames. Ha-sik collapsed, his eyes filled with a pain as if he'd just lost a part of himself. A neighbor mentioned seeing some guys from the construction company lurking around earlier. Just then, young Soon found a cigarette butt on the ground. She was startled to see it was the same imported brand Director Song had been smoking. A few days later, Director Song was summoned to court after the couple pressed charges. The prosecutor presented the cigarette butt, hoping this would be the smoking gun to nail the vicious culprit. In court, Song admitted that yes, it was his brand of cigarette, but that proved nothing. He claimed he generously shared them with countless villagers, including Ha-sik himself. The witness who had sworn he saw strangers suddenly changed his story, saying that night he wasn't sure if he'd seen people or pigs. One by one, every witness gave conflicting testimony. It turned out they had all been paid off by Song to play their part in this betrayal. With no concrete evidence, the court acquitted him. Director Song smiled, completely satisfied. Meanwhile, Ha-sik and young Soon could only look at each other with heavy hearts, unable to say a word. Not giving up, Ha-sik decided to go to prosecutor Tae-soo with his last piece of evidence. It was a recording of Director Song's voice, threatening the witness's family, telling them to lie or they'd be digging up graves. After listening, the prosecutor said this was more than enough for an appeal and told him to relax and prepare the paperwork. But Ha-sik had no idea that this very prosecutor's morals had also been bent by Song's money. On his way back, Ha-sik was suddenly blocked in the middle of a bridge. Song's men were waiting for him at both ends. The tragic outcome was that he was dealt with, and the scene was staged to look like a suicide. When young Soon heard the news, she was in such shock. She couldn't believe her husband, a man as solid as a mountain, would go out in such a weak way. With every fiber of her being, a wife's intuition told her something sinister was behind it. Despite being pregnant and devastated, young Soon wiped away her tears and went to prosecutor Tae-soo, begging him to reinvestigate. She told him her husband had clear evidence. And besides, if it were a suicide, why were there no struggle marks on his neck? But the prosecutor put on a show of sympathy, a pathetic act of fake compassion, before turning the tables on her. He claimed that Ha-sik had come to see him drunk, rambling nonsense about ending it all, and hadn't presented any evidence whatsoever. She had no idea that the man standing in front of her had also taken hush money from the very person who had her husband killed. Returning home in utter despair, young Soon felt helpless against a system controlled by money. But then, looking down at her belly, she found the strength to carry on. Even if she had to live through 1,000 heartbreaks, she was determined to save her child. Because that child was all she had left of Ha-sik, and she swore to give them a brighter future than their parents ever had. After all the loss and turmoil that had swept through her life, Young soon decided to move to another rural town to start over. She chose to live on a new farm to continue her husband's unfinished dream. The villagers started whispering when they caught the pungent smell from afar. All it took was a shift in the wind for the whole village to get a whiff. So, one fine morning, a crowd gathered in front of her house, planning to have a firm but gentle conversation. But the moment they saw Young Soon, with her large pregnant belly and kind face, they all stopped in their tracks. The conversation took an unexpected turn. They started chatting and laughing so much that they forgot why they came in the first place. It wasn't until a while later that they remembered and got back to the main topic. The village chief asked Young Soon to stop raising pigs due to the numerous complaints from the residents. However, Young Soon refused. She calmly listed all the things her neighbors did that bothered her. The back and forth quickly turned into a heated argument, which peaked when the two pregnant women suddenly lunged at each other, grabbing handfuls of hair, sending the village into a panic. Even though everyone tried their best to break them up, the situation was a tangled mess. Suddenly, Young Soon clutched her stomach and gasped. She was going into labor. The group rushed her inside. The same people who had come to complain about the smell instantly became an impromptu delivery team. And then, amidst screams and the squealing of pigs, a chubby baby boy was born. His first cries seemed to calm everything around them. Young Soon named him Kong Ho, the name her husband had lovingly chosen when their baby was still just a dream in her womb. But a moment later, her pregnant rival also went into labor, and a second delivery took place right after. This time, a beautiful baby girl, as lovely as an angel, was born and named Miju. Everyone there that day had to admit that fate truly has a flair for the dramatic. Two children, born in a pigsty amidst stench and arguments, between anger and tears of joy, seemed to be tied together by what could only be called destiny. Time flew by. Kong Ho and Miju grew up side by side, becoming an inseparable pair. Whenever Kong Ho had to deal with classmates who relentlessly teased him about the smell of pig manure, Miju, with her fiery personality, would always step in and shut the bullies down on the spot. Kong Ho was a classic bookworm, always with his nose in a book, knowing nothing but his studies. But this wasn't entirely his nature. It was the result of the strict upbringing Young Soon enforced. Ever since she was pregnant, she had vowed that her son would become a prosecutor, no matter what, so that one day, he could protect himself and expose the powerful people who use money to crush the innocent. So, even when Kong Ho got only 3 questions wrong out of 100 on a test, Young Soon would still frown. It got to the point where the boy never had a proper, satisfying meal. Her logic was, a full belly makes for a dull mind. If you can't focus, how can you ever become a prosecutor? Young Soon believed this with every fiber of her being, while Kong Ho silently swallowed his hunger and resentment every single day. A choice that she would later realize was the most heartbreaking mistake of her life as a mother. As for Miju, in stark contrast to Kong Ho's situation, she grew up in a family where love was replaced by the sound of fighting. One day, seeing the bruises around her mother's eyes, Miju immediately thought of her father. That brute of a man, a notorious player, was out dancing with some other woman at a bar. Without raising her voice, without shedding a tear, Miju simply walked up to him and whispered, "If you don't want today to be the anniversary of your death, you'll come home." In those small eyes was a wisdom and grit far beyond her years. Time continued to fly, and Kong Ho and Miju blossomed into a handsome young man and a beautiful young woman. Today was their shared birthday, and Miju prepared special kimbap rolls as a gift for Kong Ho. But after just a few bites, Kong Ho closed the container, not wanting any more, which left Miju dumbfounded. He explained seriously that eating too much would make him sleepy, and if he's sleepy, he can't focus on studying to become a prosecutor. Miju found his reasoning absurd. She told him he could choose a different career if this wasn't making him happy. But Kong Ho just lowered his head, because besides the word prosecutor, his mind was a complete blank. From birth, his life had been programmed by his mother like a GPS, and if you turned it off, he wouldn't know which way to go. As they were about to leave the room, they discovered the door had been locked from the outside. Turns out, it was a prank by their mischievous classmate, Sam Sick. He had locked the door trying to mess with Kong Ho, but accidentally trapped his own crush inside with him. Kong Ho was freaking out, while Miju seemed to be thoroughly enjoying the situation. Back at home, Young Soon had prepared a full-on brain-boosting feast to celebrate her son's birthday. Every single dish was meticulously chosen with one goal in mind. Eat this, get high scores. Finish this, get into college. She sat at the table waiting, but as time passed, her son was still nowhere to be seen. Eventually, Young Soon, along with Miju's mom and a group of villagers, went out to find them. They asked around everywhere and finally ended up at Sam Sick's house. The moment he heard Miju's name, the boy's face turned white as a sheet. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he took off running towards the school, the same place where he'd locked Kong Ho in for fun, not realizing he'd also trapped his crush. Meanwhile, in the locked room, Miju suddenly started choking on a piece of candy. With no other choice, Kong Ho jumped into action, trying desperately to dislodge the candy. Right at that critical moment, Sam Sick and the group of villagers burst through the door. What they saw was a scene that was hard to describe, with Kong Ho in a very compromising-looking rescue position. Everyone just froze for a few seconds, wondering what on earth these two were doing in a locked room. Before they could explain, their mothers dragged them home. Time passed in a flash, and Kong Ho entered the most important phase of his academic life, the college entrance exam. The first step to becoming the prosecutor his mother had planned for him to be since he was in the cradle. Miju didn't miss the chance to be there and cheer him on, but fate decided to play another cruel trick. Just as Kong Ho was walking towards the exam hall, a motorcycle slammed straight into Miju. She collapsed, and Kong Ho froze in shock. Without a second thought, he turned around, scooped her up, and rushed her to the hospital. Luckily, Miju wasn't seriously injured, but when she woke up, she was stunned to learn that Kong Ho had missed the most important exam of his life for her. When he got home, he walked straight into a maternal hurricane. After all the years she'd invested in him, her son had just thrown away his college entrance exam for a girl. The two had their first ever screaming match, the first time Kong Ho had ever dared to talk back to his mother. After the fight, Young Soon coldly forbade them from ever seeing each other again. One day, Miju happened to see Kong Ho working part-time at a small roadside diner. Her eyes lit up with joy at seeing him again, but she also felt a pang of hurt that he had disappeared for so long without a word. This time, she vowed to be the one to support him on his journey to becoming a prosecutor, to be his rock. And so, they moved in together, starting a life where love was their greatest asset. Day in and day out, Kong Ho buried himself in his books, studying relentlessly, while Miju transformed into an all-powerful supermanager. She handled everything from cooking, laundry, and cleaning to working outside jobs to make ends meet. She was his girlfriend, his mother, and his silent partner, ready to sacrifice everything so Kong Ho could focus on his studies. Then one day, Kong Ho suddenly appeared at the nail salon where Miju was working. He brought incredible news. He had graduated at the top of his class from law school. Overjoyed, they hugged each other, happiness overflowing. For them, it wasn't just an achievement. It was proof of their relentless effort throughout a long and difficult journey. After that, they continued to live together, their bond quiet yet deep. It was the most beautiful time of their lives. Their love was like a soft, warm melody that seemed destined to last a lifetime. But then one day, without any warning, Kong Ho said it was over. He kept the reason to himself. His only explanation was silence and sad eyes. Miju felt like the life had been drained out of her. A storm of emotions broke inside her, but she couldn't find the words. She just stood there, the girl who had sacrificed everything, only to be met with a breakup with no reason given. Many years later, Kong Ho is now a brilliant prosecutor. He has fulfilled his mother's wish. Today, he seeks out Chairman Song, the man who had his father killed years ago. It seems he's intentionally getting close to him. Kong Ho helps Song get rid of all the negative press about him. Song is very pleased with Kong Ho's recent work. Adding to that the fact that Kong Ho lost his father at a young age, Song offers to adopt him, and Kong Ho seems thrilled by the idea. Elsewhere, Miju is still working as a nail artist. She now has twin children, and it's still unclear who their father is. Although she's working in the country, she has lied to her mother, telling her she's living in America, and still sends money home every month for her mother to raise the two kids. Today is Kong Ho's birthday, and his mother, Young Soon, has brought him a ton of delicious food. Even though he's in his apartment, he deliberately avoids her. For years, Kong Ho has seemingly cut off all contact with his mother. She has called him many times, but he has never once picked up. She asks the security guard about everything related to Kong Ho. Is his health okay? Does he drink too much? Does he seem tired? The guard tells her everything is fine. He hasn't had any issues. As she leaves, Young Soon makes sure to leave her phone number with the guard. If anything unusual happens with Kong Ho, please, give me a call. She quickly eats a pastry to settle her stomach, telling herself, he must just be really busy. Inside, Kong Ho learns that Assemblyman Tae-soo is leading in the presidential election polls. He plans to approach him. The very next morning, he goes to meet Tae-soo, the same prosecutor who destroyed his family all those years ago. Knowing he has a daughter, Kong Ho starts getting close to her. After a while, they become a couple. That evening, Ha Young brings Kong Ho to meet her family. After a bit, she and her mother leave the two men, him and his future father-in-law, to talk privately. There, Tae-soo warns Kong Ho, you two will break up by next week. He wants to marry his daughter off to another powerful family. It seems he knows exactly who Kong Ho really is. But Kong Ho has an ace up his sleeve. Proof that Tae-soo has a secret child with his secretary. He gives a copy of it to Chairman Song, demanding that Song officially adopt him as his son. Only then would Kong Ho have the status to marry Tae-soo's daughter. With that evidence, Song meets with Tae-soo and demands that he let the two of them be together. Song also reveals that Kong Ho is now his official son. Later, the three men meet. Tae-soo agrees to the marriage, on one condition. Kong Ho has to do something for him. He has to eliminate his mistress and his illegitimate child. That night, Kong Ho does exactly as Tae-soo asked. He drugs the secretary. Then, he ruthlessly pushes the mother and child into the river. He even records a video to send to Tae-soo as proof that the job is done. To be formally adopted by Chairman Song, Kong Ho needs his biological mother's consent. Today, he and Ha-young are heading back to his hometown to get it done. Elsewhere, Young Soon is overjoyed to hear her son is coming home, and with his future bride-to-be, no less. She gets everything ready, her hair, her clothes, wanting to look presentable and not embarrass herself in front of the assemblyman's precious daughter. The whole village also gathers to welcome Kong Ho back. The village chief comes out to greet them and shake hands, but Ha-young doesn't even bother to respond. Then, Young Soon leads the two inside. She's so excited she hasn't even removed the price tag from her new pants. But Kong Ho's real purpose for this visit isn't to see his mom. He brings up Chairman Song's adoption offer, which leaves her completely stunned. She objects. Having money and power is a good thing, but you can't just cut ties with your mother. Kong Ho retorts, "Isn't that everything you wanted for me?" His words cut her deep, but she still stamps the papers to give her son what he wants. Once business was done, Kong Ho immediately left, leaving Young Soon feeling utterly helpless. She still tries to run after him, offering him a container of mung bean pancakes, his favorite. He drives off coldly without even a goodbye. The villagers run out, cursing at the ungrateful son. Young Soon tries to keep a calm face in front of everyone, but inside, her heart is breaking. Just a short distance away, Kong Ho stops the car. He throws out the gift his mother gave him. Fuming, he chugs a bottle of water to cool down, then switches seats with Ha-young to let her drive. From here, the nightmare of his life begins to unfold. A little while later, Kong Ho has fallen asleep. The scarf around Ha-young's neck falls, and she stops the car to pick it up. Suddenly, a truck barrels straight towards Kong Ho's side of the car, sending it flipping over into the river below as Ha-young watches in feigned shock. Kong Ho is rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Young Soon can't keep her composure. She lets out agonizing screams at the sight of her son. After surgery, Kong Ho's life is saved, but due to severe brain and spinal injuries, he is now in a vegetative state. Elsewhere, Chairman Song gets the news and rushes to the hospital. It seems he's already putting the pieces together. He has his men investigate the truck driver, but the truck has already been torched. The vehicle is untraceable, and no fingerprints or evidence can be found. It turns out the accident was orchestrated by Assemblyman Tae-soo and his daughter. Ha-young had drugged the water bottle Kong Ho drank from. She intentionally dropped the scarf, and the truck crashed into them exactly as planned. Just then, Tae-soo gets a call from Chairman Song. Song's voice is dripping with insinuation. How lucky that the assemblyman's daughter wasn't in the car, isn't it? On the other end, Tae-soo pretends to be heartbroken over the news about Kong Ho. It seems Chairman Song is beginning to suspect Tae-soo was behind the whole thing. Young Soon calls her future daughter-in-law, Ha-young, over and over, but she's completely unreachable. Cut to Miju, who gets a call from her two kids. She runs to stand in front of a store with foreign signs, just to make her kids believe she's really in America. "Who's that uncle behind you, mommy?" they ask. But when she turns around, she doesn't see anyone. Miju takes off running, but the person keeps chasing her. She swings wildly at him, but it turns out to be Sam Sik, who just got out of prison for theft. Before leaving, Miju advises Sam Sik to stop stealing and find a legitimate job. Back to Kong Ho, he begins to wake up, to his mother's absolute delight. But he now has the mind of a 7-year-old, with all his memories gone. In a way though, this makes her even happier. Young Soon decides to bring Kong Ho home to take care of him, trying to help him remember even the smallest thing. But it's no use. Kong Ho is like a stubborn child. Day after day, he refuses to eat anything. Standing before her husband's portrait, Young Soon tells herself that it's going to be okay. "I can raise our son all over again. I'll teach him to eat, to sit, to stand, and to walk, just like when he was little." And just like that, she balances caring for her pigs with caring for her son, even going to church to pray. The villagers, hearing the news, bring all sorts of nutritious things for Kong Ho, including medicine and rehabilitation guides for paralysis patients. Young Soon is deeply touched by their kindness. Many days pass, and Kong Ho still hasn't eaten a thing. She can't bear to watch her son slowly waste away like this. Suddenly, Kong Ho blurts out, "If I eat too much, I'll get sleepy and I can't study." The very words she had constantly drilled into him when he was a child. Young Soon is overwhelmed with regret for her misguided parenting. "It's okay," she says. "You can eat now. I only did that because I love you so much. I wanted you to be happy. I didn't want you to live a life like your father and me." She begs Kango to forgive. And then, he takes his first spoonful of rice, as his mother breaks down in tears of pure joy. Meanwhile, Chairman Song has tracked down the driver who hit Kong Ho. But suspiciously, the man has already committed suicide. This only makes Song more certain that Assemblyman Tae-soo is the one pulling the strings. That night, Young Soon places Kong Ho's favorite robot in front of him before stepping outside to take a call. Inside, he struggles to reach for it. When she comes back, she's shocked to see the robot thrown into the middle of the room. She realizes her son can move. She helps Kong Ho try again, but he can't do it. In the following days, she stops spoon-feeding him. She deliberately places the food in front of him, hoping he'll eat on his own. She also researches countless methods online to help Kong Ho regain feeling in his hands. And then, the moment she's been waiting for arrives. Kong Ho picks up a spoon and feeds himself. She breaks down, overwhelmed with joy at the sight of her son's progress. Sometime later, Kong Ho continues to improve. He can now sit up in a wheelchair. But with the mind of a 7-year-old, his new best friends are Miju's twin children.
The two mischievous kids playfully push Kango down a slope.
When he gets home, he gets punished by his mom just like any other kid. Later, the twins' grandmother comes over and scolds them. Why would you do that to Uncle Kong Ho? Why are you calling him by his name so disrespectfully? The two kids chime in, but he's only 7 years old, and Kong Ho believes it too, always thinking of himself as a child, to everyone's helpless bemusement. After that incident, Young Soon explains to Kong Ho, "You're 35 years old, but because you're sick, you get to be 7 for a while. Everyone wishes they could go back to their childhood. I wish I could too. But my Kong Ho is the lucky one who got chosen. This is a gift from heaven.
A chance to start your life all over again."
She encourages him to live happily and not give up, telling him that would make her the happiest mother in the world. Chairman Song confronts Tae-soo, presenting evidence accusing him of ordering the driver to cause the accident and then having him killed to cover it up. Furthermore, Song has proof that on the day before the accident, Tae-soo's daughter bought a large quantity of sleeping pills. At this point, Tae-soo lays his cards on the table. The reason he tried to get rid of Kong Ho was because he knew Kong Ho was the son of Ha-sik from the fire incident years ago. Tae-soo also warned Song that Kong Ho likely knew who killed his father and was only getting close to Chairman Song as part of his revenge. But Song already knows Kong Ho's entire history like the back of his hand. He says he doesn't care what Kong Ho's motives were. Because he has evidence of Kong Ho's own corruption, he only intended to use him as long as he was valuable. Young Soon goes to Kong Ho's old apartment to move all his things back home. This is the place she had always wanted to visit, even just once, but Kong Ho always avoided her whenever she came to see him. Behind a large painting is where Kong Ho kept countless secret documents, things she had no idea about. When she goes to Kong Ho's office, Young Soon learns that her son was not the righteous prosecutor she imagined. Many people cry out in protest, cursing Kong Ho for the unjust trials he presided over. On the way home, lost in thought, a dog runs into the road, forcing her to slam on the brakes. A car behind her rear-ends her. The man demands she pay for damages to his brand new car. Young Soon refuses, and they get into an argument. Just then, she sees numerous gold bars inside one of Kong Ho's boxes. She starts to believe what everyone had been saying about him. Even though Kong Ho has lost his memory now, Young Soon still scolds her son. She wanted him to be a prosecutor to help the less fortunate, not to become a corrupt person who only knows how to take bribes. Why didn't you defend the innocent? She blames herself for raising such a terrible person. Although Kong Ho doesn't understand what's happening, he feels guilty for making his mother cry. Then, the two of them hold each other and weep. Meanwhile, Miju has been living in constant anxiety. Debt collectors show up every day. Previously, Miju's sworn sister had run off with a large sum of money, leaving her with a mountain of debt. She's planning to sell the nail salon to pay it off and move back to her hometown. That evening, Kong Ho brings a ball to return to his best friends. Standing at the gate, Kong Ho calls out for his little friends. After a moment, someone opens the door. It's Miju. She freezes for a few seconds, shocked to see Kong Ho in this state. Then, she slams the door shut.
She still can't forget dei Kango coldly abandoned her.
When the two children open the door, he's gone. Inside, Miju's mother tells her everything that happened to Kong Ho. Afterwards, she tells her kids they are not to see him anymore. She also reveals to her mother, "I'm moving back home for good.
I'm not going anywhere else."
Elsewhere, after returning, Kong Ho tells his mother he just met a beautiful lady. But for some reason, "My heart hurts," he says, which puzzles his mom. The next morning, Kong Ho goes to his young friend's house. He's about to knock when his mother calls him back for a doctor's appointment. He throws the ball over the gate and heads home. Just then, he sees Miju's family. Kong Ho watches her from a distance, and she notices him too. It's then that he learns her name is Miju. Meanwhile, to ease his daughter's pain over the Kong Ho situation, Tae-soo lies, saying, "He was just using you. He even killed his own wife and child just to get to you." Ha-young is shocked by the fabricated pictures, but she still doesn't believe what her father is saying. It seems too absurd, because he saw how much Miju liked the village chief's wife's dog the other day. Today Kong Ho got himself a new pet, an adorable piglet. Kong Ho intentionally walks past Miju's house. There, he runs into his two little friends. He asks them, "Who's that lady in your house?" Unfortunately, just then, the piglet escapes.
The three friends take off after it.
Right then, it runs towards Miju. Seeing the three of them on the wheelchair gives her pause. Then, Miju helps Kong Ho catch the pig. Seeing him, she still feels very awkward. From a distance, seeing his mother approaching, Kong Ho panics, afraid of getting in trouble, and flees with his two little friends. It's here his mother recognizes Miju. Sitting down to talk, Young Soon says, "So it turns out the person Kong Ho is always talking about is you." The boy kept insisting he had to show his dog to Miju, and even made me buy another one. That night, Chairman Song's men come to Kong Ho's house to find the original file on Tae-soo's secret child. But when they see Kong Ho, they're forced to hide in the closet. Outside, Tae-soo's men also arrive to eliminate Kong Ho. But just as the assassin pulls out his weapon, Song's two men jump out and stop him. The two sides brawl, but 1 against 2 is a losing fight, and the assassin makes a run for it. When Young Soon returns home, her son recounts what just happened, but she doesn't believe the absurd story Kong Ho is telling. She then makes him clean up all the poop the piglet left around the house. The next morning, after his men return empty-handed, Song takes his anger out on them. He knows Tae-soo is trying to kill Kong Ho, so he orders his men to protect him until they can get that original file. Meanwhile, Kong Ho sees Miju drop her wallet while waiting for the bus. He runs over, picks it up, and tries to chase after her, but there's no way he can catch the bus. And so, he wanders the streets looking for her to return it. Miju is out looking for a space to open her nail salon today, but the rent here is too high, so she can't find a suitable spot. While buying pesticide for her mom at a shop, she helps the owner with her injured nail. She overhears them saying there isn't a single nail salon in the area. Miju mentions she's looking for a place to open one. The owner says, "There's an empty space right here. If you like, I can let you use it." Miju is ecstatic, not having to spend a dime on rent. Elsewhere, while Kong Ho is looking in his bag, a thief snatches the wallet. He grabs an apple and throws it, hitting the thief in the head. The wallet falls into the street, and the thief runs off. A man accuses Kong Ho of trying to steal his bag, despite his repeated denials. Just then, Miju passes by and sees Kong Ho, so she rushes over to help him. Kong Ho gives the wallet back to Miju, explaining she dropped it at the bus stop. His mother arrives on the scene and then takes them both home. That evening, Sam-sik stumbles upon Kong Ho fishing by the riverbank. He doesn't know yet that Kong Ho has become like a child and has lost all his memories. Sam-sik brings up the past, how he came to Kong Ho for help after the theft. But Kong Ho had ignored his pleas, and Sam-sik ended up doing time in jail. Sam-sik grabs Kong Ho by the collar and starts yelling. Kong Ho says, "I'm gonna tell my mom," which leaves Sam-sik frozen for a few seconds. After that, Kong Ho goes to his little friend's house. There, Miju asks why he's not home yet, making his mother worry. He says, "My pig is about to give birth, so mom won't be home tonight." The two kids know Kong Ho hasn't eaten, so they try to pull him inside, despite their mother's objections. During the meal, the little boy, Seo-jin, says, "This feels like a family, with mommy Miju and
Dad Kang-go."
Kong Ho asks Miju about Yi-jin and Seo-jin's father. "I heard he's a deadbeat," he says, forcing Miju into an awkward smile. Here, she also asks him not to come over anymore, not to see Seo-jin and Yi-jin again. Basically, "Just don't show up in front of me," she says, leaving Kong Ho stunned. He asks Miju, "Was I a really bad person before?"
Miju can't answer.
He then says goodbye to everyone and leaves. The next morning, after waking up, Kong Ho looks all over the house for his mother but can't find her, so he decides to give her a call. Meanwhile, Young Soon has been hospitalized due to persistent stomach pains.
There, she refuses to believe the truth.
When the doctor informs her she has terminal stomach cancer, her world completely shatters. She's not worried about her own life, but about what will happen to Kong Ho when she's no longer there to care for him. At that moment, Kong Ho arrives at the hospital. He rushes towards his mother and trips. As she helps him up, tears stream down her face. Then, she lets go. "Kong Ho, get up by yourself," she says, before quietly walking away. She needs her son to be able to take care of himself, to get used to things without her by his side. After discovering she has terminal stomach cancer, Young Soon's spirit is nearly broken. She starts preparing everything for Kong Ho, for the day she's no longer with him. Who to call for plumbing or electrical issues, what to do when he gets sick. But when it comes to being hungry, she doesn't know how Kong Ho will manage on his own. Looking at her husband's portrait, Young Soon tells herself she can't give up. The next morning, Kong Ho is confiding in his two little friends. "My mom has been acting really weird lately. She's much quieter, looks sad, and doesn't want to smile." Right then, Young Soon runs up, but with a completely different expression from yesterday.
She is cheerful, as if nothing is wrong.
The two kids are puzzled by what Kong Ho just said. That day, Kong Ho is getting bullied by a group of students on the street. Luckily, His mom arrives just in time to deal with the little punks for him. Back home, she teaches him how to fight back against bullies. Just call the guy in front of you a son of a bitch. Kong Ho does as he's told, even though he doesn't want to curse. Young Soon hands over important documents to her son, the house deed, savings passbooks, and tells him not to give them to anyone. In the following days, she continues to teach Kong Ho everything, from caring for the pigs to earn money for rice, to the techniques for growing potatoes. She still hopes that one day, when she's gone, her son will be able to stand on his own 2 feet and support himself. That evening, Miju comes home to find her son crying. When she asks, she finds out why. The little boy felt left out at the public bathhouse because all his friends had their dads with them. He kept crying for his own dad, leaving Miju at a loss. One day, a disease breaks out at the goat farm in the village. The authorities are forced to call the entire herd. Soon after, because it's near the epicenter of the outbreak, Young Soon's pig farm also has to be culled. She's heartbroken watching them take her pigs away. It feels like everything in the world is against her, as one terrible thing happens after another. That morning, in Miju's nail salon, people are gossiping about the tragic situation of Young Soon's family. The shop owner wonders aloud why she would come to buy pesticides so early in the morning. Hearing this, Miju gets a strange feeling. She's worried Young Soon might do something reckless. She drops her work and runs out, to everyone's surprise. Meanwhile, the mother and son are at the father's grave, a bag of pesticide in hand. It seems she wants to end everything. She tries to open the bottle, but can't. Kong Ho helps his mother, having no idea what it is. Kong Ho innocently tells his mother, "We have to drink this quickly and go home to eat. I'm really hungry. We have to feed the pigs at home too. They'll have babies, and we'll rebuild the farm, right, Mom?" Hearing her son's words, Young Soon can only look at him in silence. Elsewhere, Miju runs to Kong Ho's house. She calls out, but no one answers. She grows even more anxious, thinking of the worst-case scenarios. Suddenly, the mother and son return from behind her. Miju sees the bag of pesticide that Young Soon is trying to hide. She snatches it and says, "I should take this for my mom's farm." Then, Miju quickly leaves. Then she turns back and says to Kong Ho, "Hey, can you go to the bathhouse with my Seojin tomorrow?" Kong Ho is thrilled by the idea, and they agree to meet the next morning. The very next morning, Miju and her kids arrive at Kong Ho's house. Then, Sam Sik decides he wants to tag along too. In the bathhouse, Kong Ho takes care of Seojin like a real father. Seeing this, Sam Sik tries to compete with him for the role. On the TV, Kong Ho sees Tae-soo giving a speech for his election campaign. He starts to remember something faint about him. Outside, Miju is waiting, and Young Soon also arrives to pick up Kong Ho. The 2 kids are delighted. Little Seojin asks Kong Ho, "Let's go to the bathhouse again next week." Of course, Kong Ho immediately agrees. Then, everyone happily says their goodbyes. Young Soon takes Kong Ho to a rehabilitation center. From now on, he will stay here under the care of doctors. Kong Ho asks, "Mom, are you staying with me?" But she can't. She encourages him, "Be a good boy here, and you'll recover and walk normally again. When that happens, I'll come pick you up." But Kong Ho doesn't want that. He just wants to be with his mom. He begs her to let him come with her, but she refuses. Young Soon holds back her emotions and leaves. Returning home, she intends to end her life. She leaves a letter for her son and takes one last look at their family photo. Meanwhile, Kong Ho escapes from the rehabilitation center. Alone in his wheelchair, he tries to find his way home. Young Soon has prepared everything, ready to let go. The moment she kicks the chair away is the exact moment Kong Ho calls out for his mother in the yard. He opens the door to see his mother struggling. Kong Ho rushes forward and holds on to her.
In this moment, the power of a mother's love is stronger than ever.
He pushes himself up on his own crippled legs, saving his mother from the brink of death.
Young Soon can't believe her eyes.
She cries, "You just stood up, didn't you?" and pulls Kong Ho into a tight hug. Then she asks him to try it again, but he says nothing. Kong Ho looks at the rope and seems to understand something. Kong Ho turns his back on his mother and leaves in the rain, ignoring her desperate calls from behind. Outside, Kong Ho runs into Miju and suddenly bursts into tears. Miju tends to the wound on his hand as he tells her everything. "Mom took me to a strange place and left me alone to go to a better place." Miju doesn't believe that. Your mom isn't that kind of person. But if it's true, she must have had a reason. Maybe she doesn't want to talk about it now, but one day, you'll understand everything. Kong Ho wonders how she would know. Miju says, "I was abandoned once, too. I don't know why, but I really want to know the reason."
Seeing you like this,
I'm sure I'll never find out. Outside, Young Soon has found him and is calling his name in the rain. Back home, she apologizes to Kong Ho for what she did. He coldly asks her why. She explains, "I haven't been feeling well.
my stomach hurts a little.
If I go to the hospital, I'll need someone to take care of me, I don't want to be a burden to you, Kong Ho. He replies, so, me being sick like this, am I a burden to you? Young Soon immediately denies it. No, I'm sorry, I said it wrong.
You're not sick anymore.
You just stood up a moment ago. You'll be able to walk, to run, and then you can take care of me. Then she asks Kong Ho to try standing up for her again, but after many tries, he still can't do it. She pushes Kong Ho out into the rain, leads him to a river, and shoves him in. Despite his struggles and cries for help, she wants him to save himself. No one can help you forever. If you want to live, then stand up on your own, just like you did before. She deliberately pushes him further away, but he still can't move his legs. Returning home, she continues to study rehab instructions on TV, and in the following days, she continues to throw Kong Ho into the river. Then it's off to the rehab center, and then having the village chief perform acupuncture. And just like that, Kong Ho makes remarkable progress, tentatively walking with crutches. In the water, he can move his legs. This brings her immense joy. His first steps, like a toddler's, remind young Soon of when Kong Ho was little. Meanwhile, the villagers are gathered together, talking. Seeing the pitiful situation of young Soon's family, they want to do something to help her. They all agree to buy Kong Ho a new electric wheelchair. It's durable and would make it much easier for him to get around. Miju gets a call from her kids.
Mommy, Daddy is home.
He came to our house in a brand new Mercedes. This puzzles Miju, and she immediately grabs a taxi home. Inside, her mother is chasing a man around, accusing him of abandoning her daughter. Despite the man's constant denials, she pulls out a photo of the two of them together as proof. But it's just a photo Miju had asked him to take with her to deceive her family. Turns out, this man is a loan shark. Miju's sworn sister had borrowed money from him. He demands she pay up this month, or he'll give her address to all the other creditors. That day, the villagers have prepared a gift for Kong Ho. A large crowd gathers in front of his house. To surprise the family, they hide the wheelchair. The village chief says, everyone really wants to see Kong Ho. We haven't seen him in so long. Young Soon goes inside to get him. Outside, everyone is getting ready to surprise him. Kong Ho walks out on his own 2 feet like a normal person, leaving everyone completely astonished. They can't believe their eyes. They are so happy and overjoyed for Kong Ho. From behind, Sam's sick father rolls in on the new wheelchair, ready for the big reveal. The sight shocks him so much he falls over. Afterwards, everyone gathers for a celebratory party for Kong Ho. Inside the house, Miju asks Young Soon about the day she tried to take her own life. Young Soon takes her hand and says, that will never happen again. Her words bring great relief to Miju. That night, Young Soon gets a call from the security guard at Kong Ho's old apartment complex.
The very next morning, she goes there.
The guard tells her, Kong Ho asked me to give you this letter if one day he was no longer here. Young Soon holds the letter, her eyes welling up with tears. In the letter, Kong Ho expresses his love for her. I always remember the meals you cooked, the happy memories of our past. I'm sorry for avoiding you so many times, for not calling or visiting you more often. But Mom, I am still living in those old memories, back when I had both you and Dad. Returning home, Young Soon finds it strange. Kong Ho had never spoken to her like this. It was as if he knew what was going to happen to him. Today, Young Soon and Kong Ho go to take a commemorative photo. After taking one together, she wants a separate photo of herself, as if preparing for the worst. Back home, she teaches Kong Ho how to kneel and pay respects to guests, as if practicing for her own funeral. Kong Ho follows his mother's instructions, oblivious to her true meaning. Right after, she looks at the family photo and suddenly remembers something. In the letter, Kong Ho had said, I am still living in our family's memories. She takes the photo off the wall. Behind it is a memory card. The next morning, Young Soon finds Sam's sick father, wanting to borrow his computer to check the memory card. He patiently shows her how to use it, but when she tries to open the data, it's password protected. Young Soon tries entering Kong Ho's birthday, but it's incorrect. After a moment of thought, she types in her own birthday, and it matches. She and Sam's sick father are overjoyed. On the memory card are Kong Ho's journals, where he recorded the story of his life. The reason why he had to go to law school, the dream his mother always wanted him to fulfill. One day, Kong Ho had gone to the courthouse alone, wanting to review his father's case file, but they denied his request. Then he went to the police headquarters, begging them to let him see the investigation file from that year. But once again, they refused him. A police officer told him, when you become a prosecutor, you can come here and do whatever you want. And with that, they mercilessly kicked Kong Ho out. As a mere law student, he had no power at all. It was then that Kong Ho truly understood his mother's words. You must have power. Then no one will be able to look down on you. And so, he studied even harder. After 5 years in university, Kong Ho graduated at the top of his class. Following that were happy times with Miju. But to get close to Tae-soo, the prosecutor who had framed his father, Kong Ho was forced to break up with Miju. He didn't want her to get involved in this mess. Didn't want her to be in danger. He was smart enough to know what kind of man Tae-soo was. Now, as a prosecutor, Kong Ho finally had the authority to access the old case files related to his father. Kong Ho's father's death was the beginning of the harsh fate that befell him and his mother. Later, Kong Ho found the witness from years ago. The man apologized to his family. He had lied in court about the fire at his father's farm. The person who threatened him to do so was none other than Chairman Song. After that, Kong Ho went to the police headquarters with his new authority and demanded they hand over the investigation files on his father's death. Kong Ho saw the photos of his father with his own eyes. It was probably the first time he'd ever truly been able to connect with him. With those documents, Kong Ho confronted the police officer who handled the case back then. He argued it was not a suicide. The ligature marks on the neck showed no signs of struggle or resistance from the victim. He insisted that someone had killed him and staged the scene. The officer denied everything. Kong Ho shot back. Then how did you suddenly get so rich back then, able to buy a house and a car? Kong Ho warned him and left. To get close to Chairman Song, Kong Ho helped get his nephew acquitted in a murder case. From that point on, he gained Song's trust, all while gathering evidence of his crimes. As for the secretary's case, it was just a fake scene Kong Ho created to get incriminating information on Tae-soo. He promised to help the secretary escape Korea, instead of killing her as he'd promised Tae-soo. Kong Ho drove the mother and child to the coast to flee the country. He prepared some money and fake passports for her. Then he took her car somewhere else, pushed it into the water, and recorded a video to send to Tae-soo, as if the mission were complete. On the very day of his accident, Kong Ho had returned home with Tae-soo's daughter. After getting young Soon's consent to be officially adopted by Song, he hid the memory card inside the family photo. And then, the accident happened. The one thing he couldn't have predicted. After watching the entire journal, young Soon begs Kong Ho not to seek revenge, even though he doesn't remember anything now. She immediately thinks of the pile of documents she had collected from his apartment. It's only now that she understands why Kong Ho was always so cold to her. It was also he could avenge his father. Fearing that these documents would put Kong Ho in danger, young Soon burns them all. She wants her son to live a new life now, to forget those memories. The next morning, young Soon feels a sharp pain in her stomach and has to go to the hospital for a checkup. In the waiting room, she overhears some ladies talking about how their sons' personalities completely changed after getting married. Hearing this, an idea pops into young Soon's head. I have to find a wife for my Kong Ho. That way, if I pass away, someone will be there to take care of him. Returning home, she wants Kong Ho to take over the pig farm. She wants him to rebuild it himself. Kong Ho asks, "Mom, am I not a prosecutor anymore?" She tells him gently, "From now on, you're not a prosecutor anymore. You have to run the farm and live a happy life.
Don't TRY to remember anything. Just live as you are now."
That evening, young Soon approaches the villagers. She shyly expresses her wish to find a wife for Kong Ho. The village chief immediately agrees with both hands. He even offers to be the matchmaker for Kong Ho. Everyone cheerfully agrees. The next morning, young Soon helps Kong Ho get ready. Today, she's taking him to a blind date. She takes out a jewelry box and explains to Kong Ho,
"This is for your future wife.
You two will live together, manage the farm and everything." Kong Ho asks, "Is it Miju?" But his mother says she's not an option. Miju already has someone she loves. Her husband is in America, so she can't be with you. Kong Ho looks sad after hearing that. Right then, the neighborhood ladies also come to help Kong Ho. They do his hair, makeup, choose his outfit, and even put on the tie that Miju had given him long ago. Kong Ho steps out, and everyone is in awe. He's as handsome as he was when he was a prosecutor. At the blind date, besides the village chief acting as the matchmaker, the entire village cast is there too. They praise Kong Ho to the skies, calling him the most eligible bachelor in the village. Whoever marries him is like winning the lottery, they say, making young Soon blush. The village chief does the same, pulling out all of Kong Ho's academic awards. Ever since he was a child, he's been exceptionally intelligent. Sitting opposite them, Kong Ho still acts like a child, making his mother anxious.
The girl's family is suspicious.
And so it goes with many other girls who follow. But with Kong Ho's behavior and gestures, it's hard for any girl to accept him. And so, in one day, the village chief has to set up more than 10 dates. But they all reject Kong Ho. Afterwards, Kong Ho tells his mother, "I want to go to the store to buy pesticide." And she understands what her son really means. He just wants to go there to see Miju. The moment she turns her back, Kong Ho has already run off. Meanwhile, while Miju is helping an old man with his nails, he starts hitting on her, which then escalates to him harassing her.
Furious, Miju kicks the old pervert out.
Outside, They get into a scuffle. Just then, Kong Ho runs up and stops the old man. Miju is still furious and tries to lunge at him, but Kong Ho keeps holding her back. Suddenly, a motorcycle speeds towards Miju. In that instant, Kong Ho remembers something from the past. He quickly pulls Miju back. Seeing Kong Ho's head bleeding, Miju gets very worried. In that moment, he remembers even more. He places a kiss on her lips, and Miju kisses him back, just like what happened in the past. From a distance, Young Soon sees everything and quietly walks away. That night, Miju is thinking about the afternoon's kiss, scolding herself for losing her mind. Just then, Kong Ho is jogging outside. Seeing him, she feels extremely embarrassed and pulls a plastic bag over her head. Kong Ho sees this and comes over to say hi. Miju thinks he's going to kiss her again. She closes her eyes and waits. But no, Kong Ho just wants to pick off a piece of food stuck to her mouth. Overly embarrassed, Miju says things to try to get away from Kong Ho. It's then that he tells her, "I really like you," which leaves Miju stunned. Then Kong Ho says goodbye and quickly leaves. The next morning, one of Young Soon's employees wants to introduce Kong Ho to a Vietnamese girl. She is very happy about this. Soon after, she and the others go to meet the girl. Looking at Kong Ho's photo, she compliments his good looks. Then they show her a video of Kong Ho. The girl finds Kong Ho very gentle and is very pleased with him, making everyone incredibly happy. She then expresses her wish to meet Kong Ho in person, and everyone immediately agrees. The village chief runs up to congratulate and thank the girl, even in Vietnamese. That evening, Young Soon goes to see Miju. She reveals that Kong Ho is getting married soon, to a girl who came from Vietnam to work. She says, "Kong Ho seems to like you a lot, but you already have a husband and a family." But it seems he doesn't understand that. So, can you help me convince him?
The girl is coming to meet Kango tomorrow.
I don't have much time left. Hearing this, Miju asks, "Is something wrong?" And it's here that she reveals she has cancer and doesn't have much longer to live. Returning home lost in thought, Miju tells her mother everything. She remembers the day she broke up with Kong Ho. She was going to tell him she was pregnant, but she couldn't. After giving birth to the twins, because she saw Kong Ho dating another girl, Miju decided not to tell him about it anymore. Her mother comes over and asks if anyone else knows. She advises her daughter not to choose Kong Ho. Caring for a sick person is very difficult. She wants Miju to keep this secret. Then she breaks down after hearing the shocking news. The next morning, Miju gets her children dressed up. Then she tells the two kids to go to Kong Ho's house. She wants to reveal who their father is. Inside, Young Soon is waking Kong Ho up because he has a meeting with the Vietnamese girl today. But he doesn't want to go, because his heart only belongs to Miju. Suddenly, she feels dizzy and faints on the spot. Kong Ho panics, not knowing what's wrong with his mother. Outside, Miju is knocking continuously, but no one answers. At the same time, the girl who has the appointment with Kong Ho also arrives. She asks if this is his house and introduces herself. Then, Kong Ho rushes out. He explains his mother's situation, and everyone quickly rushes inside. The other girl used to care for disabled patients, so she knows some first aid for Young Soon. Meanwhile, Miju is repeatedly calling for an ambulance, then tells her two kids to go back home. Then, Miju takes Young Soon's car to drive her to the hospital, because waiting for an ambulance would take too long. On the way, because she's speeding, the police constantly siren for her to pull over. Kong Ho tries to explain the situation to them. The two officers then get in front and clear the road for them. After safely getting Young Soon to the hospital, the doctors call Kong Ho in to inform him of her condition. Miju also runs in. She wants the doctor to talk to her instead, as Kong Ho might not be able to understand. But Kong Ho stops her. He wants to stay and hear everything because now, he is his mother's guardian. After hearing about his mother's illness, it's as if the sky has fallen on Kong Ho. He runs to his mother's side. Kong Ho repeatedly pleads for his mother to wake up. "Mom, please come home with me." "I'm sorry, Mom. From now on, I'll listen to you. I won't be a prosecutor anymore. From now on, I won't like Miju anymore." And so he begs her to wake up.
Outside, the other girl hears everything.
She realizes she's come to the wrong place. Elsewhere, Miju's mother hears from her two grandchildren about Young Soon's situation. Mommy and Uncle Kong Ho took Grandma to the hospital. She immediately calls Miju. Here, Miju is comforting Kong Ho. "When you were sick, your mother was always by your side, taking care of you. So from now on, it's your turn to be by her side and be her strength." In that intimate moment, Miju's mother suddenly appears. She demands her daughter take her hands off Kong Ho. But then she lowers her voice and asks about his mother's health. She tells her daughter to go home and take care of the kids, saying she'll stay here. When Miju tries to object, her mother smacks her. "You're still not going home after that?" Inside the room, Young Soon has woken up and wants to be discharged, despite the nurse's protests. She says she doesn't have much time left to lie here. She wants to go home because she has an appointment with her future daughter-in-law. Miju's mother comes over to comfort her, and everyone around them is moved to tears. Elsewhere, Sam-sik tries to sell the handbag, but is told it's a fake. This was the bag Kang-ho gave to his mother, which Young-soon later gave to Sam-sik's mother. On his way home, Sam-sik notices something inside the bag: a DNA test result and another memory card. After being discharged, Young-soon immediately calls the Vietnamese girl to apologize for what happened this morning. On the other end, the girl also apologizes, saying she can no longer be with Kang-ho. She believes Kang-ho is already in love with someone else, Miju, the girl from this morning. Despite Young-soon's repeated explanations that they're just childhood best friends, the girl suddenly hangs up. Meanwhile, Miju tells her mother, "I want to tell Young-soon the truth about the kid's father before she's gone. But I couldn't say it because she fainted," she explains, which secretly makes her mother happy. She still advises her daughter to keep it a secret. They're both sick. "You shouldn't say anything right now." But Miju disagrees. "I just want to tell the truth, not get back together with Kang-ho, so don't worry." Young-soon also goes to find Miju. There, she blames her for making Kang-ho's future wife.
Misunderstand.
"You know my family's situation, so why didn't you help me like I asked you to? Why do you always ruin Kang-ho's future, time and time again?" Right then, Miju's mother runs out and retorts, "Who's ruining whose future here? You love your son just as much as I love my daughter. Why do you always make my daughter out to be the villain?" Miju's mother seems to have had enough and is about to reveal the whole truth, but Miju stops her. Elsewhere, Sam-sik calls Kang-ho over to his house. Kang-ho asks, "Why do you have my mother's bag?" Sam-sik explains, "Your mom gave this bag to my mom." Then, Sam-sik pulls out the test results and the memory card and asks Kang-ho about them, but he genuinely doesn't remember anything. Sam-sik plugs in the memory card and asks for the password, but Kang-ho intentionally gives him the wrong numbers. After Sam-sik steps out to take a call, Kang-ho goes over, enters the correct password, and unlocks it. Just then, Sam-sik walks back in, his face beaming with excitement in front of Kang-ho. On it is a recording of a conversation between three men: Kang-ho, Tae-soo, and Chairman Song. Tae-soo is ordering Kang-ho to destroy the DNA test results, along with a mission to eliminate the secretary and her child. She was his mistress, and the child was Tae-soo's son. Sam-sik recognizes everyone's voices and looks like he just won the lottery. He plans to use this to blackmail Tae-soo's family, while Kang-ho pretends to be clueless. Kang-ho wants to take these things back to his mother, but Sam-sik stops him, lying, "Let me figure things out for you." He wonders to himself, "Why do I always think about Dad even though I've never met him?
What kind of person was he?"
Meanwhile, Young-soon overhears his heartfelt words. There, she tells her son about his father. "Every day, he would hug you through my belly, crying and saying he wanted to meet you. But my time with him was too short.
When he did, bury me next to your father, okay?
That way, I can be with him forever." Through tears, Kang-ho says, "You're not going anywhere. Please, just wait a little longer." She hugs him and promises to stay a little while more. That evening, Young-soon goes to see Miju's mother to apologize for what happened earlier. And just like that, the two women embrace, comfort each other, and cry together. The next morning, unable to find evidence from Kang-ho, Song's two men have to return to the city. On the way, they run into Sam-sik. When he finds out they're heading to Seoul, he asks for a ride. He wants to go there with the material he can use to blackmail Tae-soo's family. As soon as he gets there, Sam-sik finds a way to approach Tae-soo's daughter. He intentionally crashes into Ha-young's car and fakes an injury. In a coffee shop, Sam-sik shows Ha-young the DNA test and plays the recording for her. She's furious but tries to stay calm and rips it to shreds. Ha-young gets up to leave, but Sam-sik says that belongs to Kang-ho, which makes her turn around. Ha-young asks Sam-sik what he wants. He names his price: 200 million won in exchange for it. Ha-young warns him he'll be in trouble if he holds on to this stuff, then tells him to meet her in an hour. And just like that, as soon as Ha-young leaves, Tae-soo's men, who had been tailing them all along, grab Sam-sik and drag him into a black car. An hour later, Ha-young returns, but Sam-sik is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Sam-sik is being tortured by this group, but they can't get any information out of him. Just as the masked man is about to finish him off, another car crashes into the building. It's familiar faces: Chairman Song's henchmen. One is holding a shovel, the other a pesticide sprayer. And so, the two sides break into a chaotic brawl. The leader grabs the laptop with the recording and escapes. Sam-sik is rescued but then quietly slips away. After listening to the recording, Tae-soo angrily throws the laptop. He assumes Sam-sik is one of Chairman Song's men. He confronts his daughter. There, Ha-young asks about the woman and child her father had taken care of. He claims Kang-ho did it, but Ha-young retorts, "You're the one who ordered him to do it. You're a terrifying person, eliminating anyone who gets in your way, even if it's Kong Ho. But Tae-soo deflects. You're the one who gave that bottle of water to Kong Ho. You wanted to get rid of Kong Ho too, after you found out he was using you to take me down. That was your decision. I didn't order you to do it. Then Tae-soo comes to comfort his daughter.
It's all in the past now.
I have the evidence in my hands. As long as you keep quiet, there won't be any problems. A few days later, Ha Young's wedding takes place. Chairman Song also attends. But from Tae-soo's expression, he doesn't look very welcoming. Song taunts Tae-soo. Are you satisfied with your new son-in-law? This way, they'll live a long life and won't die in some unexpected accident. Tae-soo can only remain silent. When the wedding ceremony is about to begin, Tae-soo walks out alone, without his daughter. Earlier, someone had sent Ha Young a gift. Inside were photos of Kong Ho, prompting her to flee the wedding.
Ha Young goes to Kang Ho's house.
From a distance, she sees that he's healthy, which brings her some relief.
That evening, mother and son go on a date.
Young Soon wants to spend this short time with her son. She pulls out a list of things she wants to do with Kong Ho. Watch a movie, go sing, or travel. Things she's never done before, and Kong Ho will do them with her. Then he orders a bottle of rice wine, which surprises his mother. Kong Ho explains, I'm an adult now, but only I get to drink, okay? You're not allowed. Meanwhile, after bringing Ha Young home, Tae-soo furiously beats her. Then he has her locked up in a hospital until after the presidential election. Tonight, Kong Ho wants to sleep with his mother. The two share an emotional heart-to-heart. She wants to hear Kong Ho sing, but he says he's a terrible singer. She begs her son to just sing, so he tries his best to sing for her, even if it's not very good. Elsewhere, Miju sings the same song to her two children, but her daughter says, Mommy, why is that song so sad? In the middle of the night, Young Soon gets a call from a villager reporting a fire at her farm. She immediately wakes Kong Ho up, and the two of them run to the farm. A huge fire, just like what happened in the past. Young Soon wants to get the pigs out, but Kong Ho holds her back. The fire grows larger, and the two are terrified. Kong Ho tries to lead his mother out, but the outside door is stuck. He quickly smashes the window glass and gets his mother out first. Right after, a large explosion knocks Kong Ho to the ground. In that moment, memories flood back into his mind. His father's voice calling his name when he was in the womb. Images from before the accident with Ha Young also appear. It seems Kong Ho now remembers everything. Before the fire at Kong Ho's family pig farm, Tae-soo had gone to meet with Song. There, Tae-soo brings up the death of the secretary, Soo-hyun. The police have found the bodies of her and her son. If this gets out, both of them will be in big trouble. Tae-soo wants to eliminate Kong Ho as soon as possible. He also has a plan to frame Kong Ho as the baby's father. Song promises to take care of Kong Ho, but in return, after Tae-soo becomes president, he must protect Song's Woo-beik group. The two agree and shake hands. Back to the fire at the farm. Two masked men started it and then locked the door from the outside. Sam-sik discovers them and runs in to stop them, but he gets beaten up. Luckily, Song's two assistants arrive just in time, and the two men flee. The villagers hear the news and rush to the farm. They panic as they see the fire growing larger. Young Soon slowly emerges from behind the farm, calling out her son's name, as Kong Ho is still trapped inside. Hearing this, Miju tries to run in, but Sam-sik stops her. He tells everyone to douse him with water. He wants to play the hero for the whole village to see. Sam-sik breaks the lock and goes inside, calling out Kong Ho's name, while everyone outside is in a frenzy. Suddenly, Sam-sik's father sees a figure emerging from the fire. Look, my Sam-sik is carrying Kong Ho out. But no, it's Kong Ho carrying Sam-sik out. This leaves everyone surprised and overjoyed. The two then collapse and pass out. The next morning at the hospital, the police come to take Sam-sik's statement. He says he saw suspicious men running from the fire. But Young Soon cuts him off, saying, it was all my fault. I was careless. Despite Sam-sik insisting, but I saw them with my own eyes. Young Soon requests that the police drop the investigation. Miju finds this strange and pulls Sam-sik outside to talk. She asks who the suspicious men were. Sam-sik can only describe their appearance. He doesn't know who they were. Both of them wonder why Young Soon would lie. Having let it slip, Sam-sik has no choice but to tell her the whole secret about Kong Ho and Tae-soo. Miju goes to Young Soon, wanting her to call the police because Kong Ho is in danger. Young Soon pulls Miju away to talk privately. Miju tells her everything she just learned. That Kong Ho knows Assemblyman Tae-soo's secret about his illegitimate child. Young Soon is surprised, as she knew nothing about that secret. But she was well aware that Kong Ho was in danger.
She plans to move somewhere else, a place where no one can harm Kang Ho.
Calling the police is pointless. She tells Miju the story of Kong Ho's father. Our farm was burned down before, and his father died trying to uncover the truth. Neither the law nor our loved ones. No one protected our family. Because of that, I was always strict with Kong Ho, so he would become a powerful person. From now on, I have to protect him. I absolutely will not let him end up like his father. Right then, Miju tells her everything about her relationship with Kong Ho. During the time he was studying for the entrance exam, we were together. He always sang the song you love the most. He tried so many pancake places in the city, but none of them tasted right to him. What he was looking for was the taste of the mung bean pancakes that you make.
Kango never resented you.
He always missed you and worried about you. Young Soon is moved to tears. She realizes that Miju is the girl Kong Ho loves with all his heart. Even after losing his memory, Kong Ho subconsciously searched for and loved Miju. She hugs Miju and apologizes. Miju does the same. I'm sorry I didn't tell you this sooner. The truth is, I'm not married. And Yijin and Seojin are Kong Ho's children, she reveals, stunning Young Soon. Miju continues, explaining she didn't tell Kong Ho because he had abandoned her. But Young Soon says that's not what happened.
Kango didn't abandon you.
He just wanted to avenge his father. That's why he tried to become the son of the man who killed him and marry the daughter of his accomplice.
Kango never abandoned the Stati Uniti.
He was afraid that you and I would be in danger if the truth came out. Kong Ho didn't abandon the people he loved. If anything, he abandoned himself. Elsewhere, Kong Ho hears everything and is moved to tears. He has regained all his memories but doesn't want to reveal it to everyone just yet. Soon after, Kong Ho is summoned by the police, suspected of killing the secretary, Soo Hyun. They show him photos of him pushing the car into the sea. Her body was also discovered not far from there. They show him a photo of Soo Hyun, but Kong Ho repeatedly shakes his head, pretending not to recognize her. The police suggest that Kong Ho had feelings for Soo Hyun, and that he intentionally killed her and her son to be with Assemblyman Tae Soo's daughter. Suddenly, Kong Ho stands up and cries, "Mommy, I'm hungry. Feed me." And just like that, he pretends to be a fool to get past the police. Even though Kong Ho is now perfectly healthy and has not lost his memory, Young Soon yells straight into the police officers' faces, "Do you have any concrete evidence to accuse my son?" After that, the mother and son are released. Upon returning, Kong Ho immediately looks for the memory card hidden behind the family photo frame. Young Soon sees this and realizes her son has regained his memories. She apologizes to Kong Ho for everything they've been through. "I've waited so long to see you like this again." At this point, Kong Ho can't hide it anymore. He admits, "I'm back now."
The mother ends subtitly, crying tears of joy.
Soon after, Kong Ho asks, "How did you know?" She simply says, "Because I'm your mother." She jokingly compliments her son on his acting skills at the police station. He says, "I had to get out of there to take care of things." Young Soon immediately tries to stop her son. She's afraid he'll be in danger again if he confronts Tae-soo and Song, but Kong Ho disagrees. "The longer we wait, the more danger we'll be in." She suggests they move somewhere else. He says, "The secretary Soo Hyun tried that, but you see how she ended up. They'll find us no matter what. That's why I want to find evidence to convict them." Kong Ho tells his mother to keep the fact that he's regained his memory a secret, and that she should absolutely not be home alone. The next morning, Kong Ho leaves the house to search for that evidence. He stops by Miju's house and watches his children playing, unable to hide his emotions. Kong Ho pulls Yijin and Seojin into his arms, apologizing for not recognizing them sooner. The little ones can't believe that their friend Kong Ho, whom they used to call by his first name, is actually their father.
Kango goes to Miju nel salon.
There, he reveals to Miju that he has regained his memory. She is stunned, unable to believe it. Miju scolds Kong Ho, "Why didn't you tell me the real reason when you broke up with me? Do you know how many times I wanted to die after that day? Every day. I hated and resented you. I used to think that if I ever saw you again, I'd kill you. But then you got sick. I thought if you got better, I'd do it then. But then I found out the truth, and you were suffering even more than me." Kong Ho pulls Miju into his arms and apologizes. "What I have to do without you isn't over yet. So please, keep yelling at me. Curse me." Kong Ho promises, "When everything is settled, I will get on my knees and formally apologize to you, until you forgive me." That evening, overjoyed that Kong Ho is well again, Young Soon wants to invite everyone in the village for a friendly meal. Yijin and Seojin also come. She hugs her 2 grandchildren and announces, "From now on, I've let go of all my worries and will live happily with everyone." Elsewhere, because his men failed to eliminate Kong Ho, Song beats them. His 2 assistants can't believe that Chairman Song was the one who sent those men to burn down Kong Ho's farm, and they were the ones who chased after the arsonists. It's truly a case of dogs biting dogs. Then, Song receives news that Kong Ho has been released. The secretary's death has nothing to do with the car Kong Ho pushed, because all the car doors were locked from the inside. Kong Ho goes to the prosecutor's office where he used to work. He takes the key hidden under the car wheel and drives away. Meanwhile, Young Soon is so happy she gets drunk. Tonight, she insists on sleeping over at Miju's house. In her drunken state, she keeps calling out the names Yi-jin and Seo-jin, my adorable puppies. Outside, the two children say, "Today's party was so much fun. We recorded a video for you to see, Mom. But we can't find it anymore." Miju checks and accidentally finds a video the kids took of Ha-young when she came here with Kong Ho before. In the video, Ha-young is seen putting pills into water bottles. Miju immediately goes to Sam-sik's house. Both of them wonder what she was trying to do. They analyze Kong Ho's previous accident, and it seems both of them think Ha-young was involved. Miju is curious and wants to go see Ha-young, but Sam-sik stops her, saying it's too dangerous. For the past few days, Sam-sik has had to hide in a closet to eat and sleep. He's afraid those men will come after him. But later, the two of them go to Ha-young's house anyway to investigate. Miju is about to run inside, but Sam-sik pulls her back. Miju says, "Are you planning to live in a closet forever?" Sam-sik gently replies, "Well, it's better than dying in a coffin." Then, Miju runs inside alone. She pretends to be a close friend of Ha-young's, wanting to see her. On the other end, the maid says Ha-young is not home right now and hangs up without saying anything else. Meanwhile, Kong Ho is looking for the boatman who took Secretary Soo-hyun that night, but he has moved, so no one knows where he is now. Then he gets a call from his old colleague. Today, he saw Kong Ho's car was gone and immediately thought of him. The man is overjoyed to see him healthy again. Kong Ho wants him to keep this a secret from everyone, as he still has some things to do. Of course, the man immediately agrees, because Kong Ho had saved his mother's life. Miju and Sam-sik are still waiting outside Ha-young's house. She tells him she met Ha-young many years ago.
Soon after, the maid comes out.
Miju runs up to ask about Ha-young. After some pleading, she reveals that Ha-young is in the hospital. Tae-soo had locked his own daughter up in there. He's afraid she'll cause trouble for his upcoming election. Miju and Sam-sik immediately rush to the hospital. Sam-sik, wearing a wig, looks surprisingly cool, and the two head inside. Elsewhere, Kong Ho is searching everywhere for the boatman. He asks many people, but no one can recognize him. Finally, Kong Ho finds him. He stands on the shore, happily waiting for him to come in from the sea. But when the man sees him, he doesn't say a word and runs away. A moment later, he can't run anymore and has no choice but to tell Kong Ho everything. That night, after the boat had just left the shore, Tae-soo's men surrounded them. He couldn't fight them off alone. Meanwhile, to protect her son, she had taken refuge at a private home. For a long time, fearing Tae-soo's men would hunt him down, the boat owner had lived in hiding, constantly changing his address. Meanwhile, the police once again come to Kong Ho's house for questioning, despite Young Soon's efforts to stop them. And inside, they find him curled up in a blanket, screaming and yelling like a madman. Seeing this, they no longer want to arrest him. But it turns out, it's Young Soon's assistant in disguise. He just saved her big time. For the past few days, without Kong Ho around, Young Soon has been visiting everyone in the village, playing and even sleeping over. She tries to learn how to play cards, even though she's never done it before. Sam-sik's mother accidentally brings up the topic of death, which makes Miju's mother furious. The two get into an argument, and Sam-sik's mother storms off. Outside, Miju's mother runs after her to explain the reason for her reaction. Young Soon has a terminal illness and there's no cure. Hearing this, Sam-sik's parents are shocked. They can't believe it. Sam-sik's mother runs inside, crying, and hugs Young Soon. The villagers soon find out as well, and everyone is choked with emotion over Young Soon's situation. Song also realizes that the person who killed Soo-hyun and her son was none other than Tae-soo. He's worried that finding the child or Kong Ho regaining his memory will jeopardize both their plans. He orders his men to eliminate Kong Ho before everything falls apart. Meanwhile, Miju and Sam-sik have found Ha-young's room. Miju disguises herself as a doctor to trick Tae-soo's guards. And inside, Miju mentions Kong Ho's name, which startles Ha-young. She's about to scream, but Miju stops her. She advises Ha-young to escape with her if she doesn't want to die here.
You know what kind of person your father, Tae-soo, is.
He'll get rid of anyone who stands in his way, even if it's his own child. In fact, he already did that with his own child with the secretary. Miju recounts all of Tae-soo's evil deeds, how he tried everything to get rid of Kong Ho. He was an accomplice in his father's death, and also in the recent fire at Kong Ho's family farm. After hearing this, Ha-young starts to cooperate with Miju. The two create a diversion to trick the guards. Outside, Sam-sik is also waiting for them. And just like that, the three of them quickly escape. Even though the guards spot them, they can't catch up. Outside, Kong Ho has been there all along. He waits for everyone to escape safely. Sam-sik confidently says, "I've disguised the license plate, so they won't know who we are." But unfortunately, the sign for his family's coffee shop is in plain sight. They are looking for a safe place to hide, as they can't go to the police just yet. Kong-ho wants to gather more concrete evidence. Right then, a crazy idea pops into Sam-sik's head. He leads everyone to the loan shark's house. Inside, the man is overjoyed, thinking Sam-sik is here to pay off his debt. But no, Kong-ho introduces himself as being from the Supreme Prosecutor's Office, which immediately changes the loan shark's tune. There, Kong-ho lists all of this organization's illegal activities, from illegal boat sales and mooring, to operating an illegal casino here. Not to mention, he also doesn't pay his employees, threatening and beating them, which makes him turn pale. Next, Kong-ho says his investigators need to stay here for a few days to continue their investigation. The man is flustered but agrees immediately. Soon after, terrified, he orders his men to burn all the incriminating ledgers. Inside, Kong-ho and Ha-young are talking. He apologizes for dragging an innocent person like her into this, and for hurting her in the past. Ha-young asks, "Did you ever truly love me?" Kong-ho says he has always loved someone else, and Ha-young knows very well that person is Miju.
Outside, Miju hears everything.
Soon after, Kong-ho says goodbye to everyone. He's going to find evidence to incriminate Chairman Song. He doesn't forget to tell his good friend Sam-sik to take care of the two ladies. As soon as Kong-ho leaves, Miju chases after him. She tells Kong-ho, "You have to come back safely. My children and I will be waiting for you to live out the rest of our lives together." He hugs Miju and promises he will definitely do that. Kong-ho kisses her on the forehead and turns to leave, but Miju playfully pouts. She needs a sweet kiss on the lips too. Without another word, Kong-ho pulls Miju in like a starving man, and the two share a tearful kiss. It's an incredibly beautiful scene, with fireworks exploding outside. Meanwhile, everyone gathers at Young Soon's house. They are all still heartbroken over her situation. The two children don't understand what's going on, but seeing everyone crying, they start to cry too. Miju's mother gets a call from her. Miju tells her mother she won't be home for the next few days. Just then, Sam-sik's voice is heard in the background, which puzzles her mother. She wonders, has my daughter switched from Kong-ho to Sam-sik now? Miju repeatedly denies it. She also reveals that Kong-ho is in trouble but can't explain it to her mother right now. Her mother knows her daughter all too well. Last time, because of Kong-ho, she was about to run into a fire to save him. She scolds her daughter, "Why do you always want to sacrifice for him? He's the one who abandoned you. Why do you always act so foolishly?" Miju says, "It's because I'm just like you, Mom. Dad always hurt you, but you only loved and waited for him. You, of all people, should understand how I feel right now, that I can't forget and leave Kong-ho." Mother can only sigh at her daughter's words. She looks up to the sky and scolds her late husband. Outside the farm, Song's two close assistants are on high alert. They notice a suspicious car tailing them. On the way back, that car is still stubbornly following them. As soon as they set foot on the farm, before they can even catch their breath, they see strangers quickly splitting up to hunt them down. But suddenly, from inside the farm, an excavator charges out like a beast escaping its cage. The two assistants jump on the iron beast and charge straight into battle with the other men.
A moment later, the local villagers hear the commotion and rush over.
The police also arrive just in time to quickly subdue the men and drag them all to the station. That day, Tae-soo, the promising candidate in the presidential race, is leisurely telling fairy tales to little children with a benevolent face like Santa Claus.
The storytelling session ends with applause.
People line up for autographs and photos. Press also jostles for coverage. Everyone hopes he will be an exemplary leader, a father of the nation, and the hope of the country. But that's just a glamorous facade, because right after the performance, Kong-ho appears. He's not here to expose the accident from years ago or to reopen the mysterious death of the secretary. His goal is much bigger, to track down the person who killed his father 35 years ago. That person is none other than Chairman Song. Kong-ho doesn't come to Tae-soo to beg, but to get straight to the point. Be a witness and expose Song and all his crimes, unless you want to be dragged into the light yourself. He doesn't threaten him with a gun, but with Ha-young, the person who could destroy his career with a single testimony. There is no pleading, no begging here. Kong-ho has come to make an offer. In fact, it's a final chance for Tae-soo to save himself before everything collapses. Meanwhile, after seeing the tender moment between Miju and Kong-ho the other day, Sam-sik feels like he's just stabbed himself in the heart. While that's happening, Miju is seriously taking Ha-young's statement regarding Kong-ho's accident. But Ha-young is still not fully cooperative, as she's torn between the truth and her fear. Without an alibi, she's afraid she'll have to take the blame for everything. That fear is multiplied tenfold because the person behind it is her own father, a man of great power and influence. As for Song, he's stunned to see his close assistant, whom he thought was dead, appear before him. Seeing his superior again, the assistant can't hold back his pent-up frustration. 4 years. He was so loyal he was willing to do anything, and what he got in return was a direct order for his execution. Faced with this outrage, Song doesn't hesitate to admit why he had to do it. But when the assistant stands up and coolly presents a recording of the entire confession, just as Song flies into a rage and shoves him down, Kong Ho walks in. Although Song quickly pretends to be overjoyed and pulls Kong Ho into a fake hug, Kong Ho isn't here to play the role of a long-lost relative. Without beating around the bush, he immediately pulls out handcuffs and declares he's arresting Song for attempted murder and assault. Behind him, the assistant smiles triumphantly, as this was the act the two of them had planned from the beginning. The next day, without hesitation, Kong Ho announces the arrest of Song for assault and conspiracy to commit murder. He firmly declares he will investigate thoroughly, regardless of any pressure, as his ultimate goal is to restore the people's faith in justice. The news is quickly picked up by television stations and broadcast widely. When the villagers see Kong Ho on the small screen, they are all astonished. They can't believe that the young man they thought was done for is now appearing healthy and proud, like a hero returning from a life-or-death battle. Young Soon is so moved that tears stream down her face. Miju's mother turns to her and scolds, "Why didn't you tell me?
Don't you trust me, my dear-in-law?"
A comment both resentful and surprised that silences everyone around them. The words "my dear in-law" drop like a bombshell, making everyone look at each other with wide eyes, wondering when things had progressed so far. Today, all three, Sam Sik, Miju, and Ha Young, are on their way to Chairman Song's trial. Sam Sik seems to have had his emotional operating system rebooted. He's no longer smitten with Miju but is now worried about Ha Young. Meanwhile, the villagers have also decided to go straight to the city to witness the Day of Judgment firsthand. In the courtroom, Young Soon sits quietly, her gaze thoughtful, remembering the old days when her husband was still alive. She whispers in her heart, praying for his spirit from afar to give their son strength, so that he won't falter, won't look back, but will advance like a warrior. She hopes Kong Ho can face the truth head-on, just as his father once looked directly at powerful men and never bowed his head. She hopes that every cell in her son's body will burn with a spirit of steel. From his gaze, his smile, to his hands and feet, every movement must exude an unyielding aura. Upon entering the trial, Kong Ho doesn't say much, letting the evidence speak for itself. He plays the recording of the conversation between Song and his former assistant. The tape clearly shows Song's violent and malicious intent towards the very person who once stood by his side. Because the assistant knew too much, knew even the secrets in Song's dark life. Not stopping there, the assistant also testifies that Song had eliminated 3 close assistants, including Secretary Soo Hyun. Kong Ho then drops a second bombshell, a USB drive filled with documents detailing the shocking financial scandals of the Woo-Beik group. From embezzlement and misappropriation to money laundering, everything was meticulously recorded like a diary of crime, the original author of which was none other than Secretary Soo Hyun. Backed into a corner, Song still vehemently denies any connection to Soo Hyun. He shifts all the blame to his assistant, as if it's the only way to save himself. But no matter how he tries to cover it up, the truth refuses to be silenced. Right then, Kong Ho unexpectedly calls his next witness, Tae-soo, the man who had helped Song handle numerous lawsuits over the years. Tae-soo begins to flip like a pancake, testifying that Soo Hyun, who had worked as a secretary for both of them, had confided in him that she was pregnant and felt seriously threatened. But what makes everyone gasp is his testimony that the child in her womb was Song's. This news makes Kong Ho smirk, while Song looks like he's about to jump out of his seat. His rage makes him unable to sit still, and he immediately jumps up to refute the chaotic mess that was just spewed. But then, Song accuses Tae-soo of being the one who eliminated the secretary and her son, even using his own daughter, Ha Young, to harm Kong Ho. In the back row, Young Soon, who was already tense, suddenly feels a wave of pain. But she tries her best to hold it in, not wanting her son to see her and abandon the trial. Ha Young unexpectedly appears, silencing the courtroom for a few seconds as she bravely stands up to tell the whole truth that has been buried for so long. She was the one who put the pills in Kong Ho's water bottle, not out of hatred or blind jealousy, but because of a spectacular deception from the very person she called father. She was brainwashed into believing that Kong Ho had a child with another woman, and had even ruthlessly eliminated them to clear the way to marry her. The person who wove that script was none other than Tae-soo. That statement surprises the entire courtroom, and Tae-soo himself is not immune to a slight shock. But he remains defiant, counter-accusing that Song was the one pulling the strings from behind. But when Kong Ho asks, "Why did you want to eliminate me?" he recounts the 35-year-old mystery case related to the death of Kong Ho's father. Beside him, Ha Young is speechless, as each word cuts into her heart like a knife. The man she once called father not only tried to harm Kong Ho but was also the culprit in the unjust deaths of Secretary Soo Hyun and her son. Ha Young admits she had seen the child's DNA test results with her own eyes. Right then, Tae-soo pulls a desperate move, presenting his daughter's psychiatric records and starting to play the role of a helpless father, crying for his child. But Ha Young refuses to be dragged into his act any longer. She sobs, saying that her father and Song had colluded to manipulate the law, bribed the police to fake the injury marks on Kong Ho's father's body, and then created a perfect scenario for their blatant crime. Although Tae-soo tries to convince the judge to stop the trial, claiming his daughter is out of control, the court allows it to continue. Kong Ho proposes to confirm the truth in an undeniable way, a DNA test of the child. Then, the boat owner hesitantly leads a little boy into the courtroom. That innocent face makes both Song and Tae-soo stare in astonishment. It turns out that on that fateful night, Soo-hyun had risked everything to hide her son on the boat and jumped into the sea alone to distract her pursuers. Even more surprisingly, the child's biological father is Tae-soo, the man who had been crying so dramatically just moments ago, now stripped of his right to object. Both Song and Tae-soo had a hand in Soo-hyun's death, plus the attempt on her and her son's lives, and the unjust death of his father years ago. Below, young Soon can't sit still any longer and jumps up, applauding endlessly for her son. The entire village also stands up and applauds. Gradually, no one can contain the overflowing pride. On the stand, Kong Ho beams a radiant smile because, at this moment, he only sees one person, his mother. Finally, the two old foxes, Tae-soo and Song, are handcuffed and dragged from the courtroom to the resounding cheers of justice. Ha Young doesn't escape punishment, but due to her remorse and cooperation, she receives a light sentence of 2 years in prison. In the following days, the small village returns to its familiar rhythm of life. Today is a special occasion. Everyone gathers to celebrate young Soon's birthday. She slowly stands up, a gentle smile on her face, and expresses her deep gratitude to everyone. She recounts that in the 35 years since she first set foot in this village, despite the storms, it was the sincere affection of everyone that kept her here. She and her son were not related by blood to anyone, but they were always welcomed with open arms, something more precious than gold to her. Then she begins to look back on her entire life, having lived enough of her youth to write a novel hundreds of chapters long. When her parents died early, she learned to cherish the kind husband by her side. When her husband left her, she poured all her love into her only son. And then, when her son got sick, she realized that having lived through most of her life was also a precious, irreplaceable thing. And now, as the final pages of her life are slowly closing, she understands that the people around her have become her soulmates. They will be the ones to continue filling the void she leaves behind. Young Soon also promises that if she goes to the other side first, not to worry, she'll be waiting right at the gates of heaven. At this point, no one in the group can hold back their tears. They know they are about to say goodbye to a mother, a grandmother, a neighbor who was always generous and kind. Kong Ho brings out the birthday cake, and everyone starts singing happy birthday. He places the cake on the table and tells his mother to make a wish before blowing out the candles. And the only wish, the final wish of young Soon at this moment, is none other than to be Kong Ho's mother one more time in the next life. Because nothing in the world could make her happier than that. After the birthday party ends, young Soon gently passes on the family heirlooms as a final entrustment to Miju. She gives her the ring that her own father-in-law had placed on her hand with great care all those years ago. And to Kong Ho, she gives him the ring that her mother had given to his father. She wishes for only one simple thing, more precious than any blessing, that the two of them live happily. That night, Kong Ho asks to sleep next to his mother, and she again wants him to sing to her. And so, he lies beside her, his voice soft and full of love. In the quiet space, she whispers, "I am so happy," then closes her eyes and slowly drifts into a long sleep, leading her to another world, where she silently watches over her son like a passing breeze that never leaves. At the funeral, the entire small village is present to bid farewell to her, the gentle woman who had silently sacrificed for so many others. Kong Ho steps forward, lights an incense stick, and chokingly sings "I Am Happy," his mother's favorite song. And just like that, other voices gradually join in, creating a deeply emotional farewell chorus. No one is sobbing anymore. They sing with smiles, just like the bright and radiant face that young Soon had worn throughout her life. Many days later, Sam Sik visits Ha Young with a very unique gift. It's a few sets of brand new underwear that his mother bought, but somehow ended up in his hands. He brings them to her, making Ha Young laugh so hard she almost chokes. He also doesn't forget to make a promise as sweet as sugar, that he will wait for her, no matter what. As for Kong Ho, he officially hangs up his illustrious career as a prosecutor to return to being a humble farm owner. The cherished photos in the house are all still intact, with only one thing missing: their wedding photo. But then, they find something even more precious inside the family photo frame. A handwritten letter from his mother. Even though she is gone, she is always in their memories, in their meals, in their laughter, in every step they take. She apologizes for sometimes being too strict, too demanding. If she could be a mother again, she would only wish for her son to do what he loves and live a free and happy life. That day, Kong Ho doesn't cry anymore, because today is a momentous day. It's the day he proposes to Miju, and as a tribute to his father, he chooses to bring a piglet with him to propose to her. A sincere and simple proposal, just like their love. The two have chosen to live happily together for the rest of their lives. Beyond the tearful mother-son bond and the romantic love, there's another kind of affection that lingers in one's memory. Human connection. Something that exists simply but profoundly in a poor rural village, rich in compassion.
Alright, that is the end of the movie.
Please take 3 seconds to subscribe to the channel to support us.